Welcome back to Northwest City Politics in the Know with Juanita. We're glad that you're joining our show again this week. We're very happy there are people like you out there, people that are interested in what's happening in the cities in our area. Because it is important for good government that city councils, city staff, and city residents are all in communication with each other. So we're glad that you're choosing to watch, and if you haven't watched us before, each week we'll have somebody on from one of the 9 cities in Northwest Community Television's viewing area to update us on what's happening in the city. Then, if there's an issue that kind of resonates with you, we hope that you'll copy down emails and phone numbers and be in contact with your city councils or your mayors to let them know what you like or don't like about items. And then I was reminded tonight that be sure, besides talking about areas that you're not quite happy about, be sure when something goes well in your city that you take the time to let your mayor and city council people know. Now, I'm very happy tonight to have Mayor Kelli Slavik on our show again.
Thank you.
Yeah, we've had you on before, but it's been a little while.
Sure.
So time for a Plymouth update.
Absolutely.
Now, you know, because you've been on our show before, that I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself out to our wider audience, because there's people in Plymouth who will certainly know who you are,
Sure.
but some others might not know.
Absolutely, sure. So my name is Kelli Slavik, and I have been mayor. I'm in my 10th year as mayor now. Prior to becoming mayor, I served on the city council for 8 years, and so I've had a lot of experience in Plymouth,
yes,
and
yes.
I love being mayor. It's been a really good fit for me personally and professionally. I've kind of raised my family up around me being involved in politics, and it's really been a positive experience for all of us. So I have great staff to work with. The residents in Plymouth are very engaged, and they like to be a part of the community and contribute to the community, which makes my job much easier. So.
Yeah, because you have a lot of volunteers and actually have a volunteer coordinator in your city, don't you?
We do.
Right.
We do. So people want to be engaged and involved and have a say in how government works, and that's one of the reasons I ran in the first place, is I thought we should have more public input. So I'm very pleased to have that opportunity to work with our residents.
And then I asked you to think about what's something about Plymouth that a lot of people out there might not know about. Anything that you want to share?
Well, I think something recently that we've learned is that Plymouth has the most med tech jobs in the entire state of Minnesota. And since Minnesota is kind of a worldwide leader in med tech jobs, we really see that globally that we have a presence in the med tech market. So we have 24 companies that just focus on med tech, but we also have over 100 companies that are involved in the med tech industry, whether it's through supply or testing or R&D or some other aspect of it. So that's something that we're really proud of, and we've been working to really kind of bring those companies together and make sure any commonalities that they have, that we can play off them, and that the city can be a resource to make sure that they're successful in Plymouth.
Right. And that brings a lot of good jobs to your community,
yes,
right?
Yes, good, high-paying jobs. And we have a great skilled workforce in Plymouth, too. So I think we really have play off of each other well.
And now, I want to go into a topic that, and I don't even know how many cities do this, but you've recently hired a new economic development manager.
We did.
And so it's a new full-time position. First, maybe we should start out with who you hired.
Sure. Well, we hired Danette Parr.
Okay.
And she, like you said, this is a new position in Plymouth, a new management position. We haven't had this position before, and she brings almost 2 decades of experience to Plymouth. She's worked in St. Paul, Prior Lake, in Eden Prairie, and also in Cottage Grove. And so she's really hit the ground running and has made great strides in reaching out to our business community and finding out what their needs are and why they've chosen Plymouth, or how they might want to expand in Plymouth, and anything that the city can do to assist them.
So is she involved in both working with current businesses and then also encouraging businesses to come?
Sure.
Okay.
And Plymouth has been very fortunate, because we've had many businesses move into our community.
Yes,
and it just kind of, I don't want to say it just happened, because I think we've built a very good structure in Plymouth, whether it's our infrastructure or our skilled labor force, our transit system, all of these things come together. But the jobs and the companies have just been coming to Plymouth, and we're very appreciative of that. However, we often question if there might be some missed opportunities that we had. So we felt that if we had somebody doing some outreach and being a little more proactive in trying to recruit companies to come to Plymouth, just things as simple as letting them know what kind of space might be available for lease or for purchase, or how we could contribute to their business, whether it's providing transportation or just a good position within our community where they're, positioned well for visibility or on a highway where they can get goods and services and employees out quickly. Because I think Plymouth does have a really good location in the metro area as far as getting to major downtown areas and getting transportation. So we really want to have a resource for anybody that's looking to locate to Plymouth. And we have many businesses too that have been in Plymouth for a long time, and their needs are changing. A lot of them are growing and they're looking to expand, and they're doing that on their own, but we want to make sure if they need a resource at City Hall or if there's some way we can assist them, that we have a contact person, one person that they can go to and get their questions answered, or find out what kind of other services we might offer. And so it's been really great because Danette's kind of made the introductions, but we've been going out and meeting with businesses. We've been, since the first of the year, we've really started to get out, probably getting out to at least one a week. Wow. And meeting the owners and talking about what they do, and how the city can serve them, and why they chose Plymouth, and why they want to stay in Plymouth, and really taking all of that information and kind of using it to support them in the overall community. Right.
Now, I haven't heard of any other cities. I don't think any others in our area have that position, do they?
I think they do some sort of business
a combination
outreach.
One, but not like one person devoted to that issue, right?
A lot of times it's might be somebody, an employee in the community, their community development or planning area that does this. We talked about doing that, but I think most of all of our employees were very much engaged, and to try to bring this additional workload, I think would have kind of upset, the way things move and the hours that were being worked. And so we thought we could bring somebody in new that had this experience and let them try out some new programs and see what they could do and act more as a resource to the businesses.
Well, and then you're being proactive in the growth of your community, or I suppose looking for innovative ways to improve your whole community then.
Yep. And one of the things that we've done is we wanted to make sure that we're continually reviewing our ordinances so that as things change, if there's things that we can do to make a business more successful. I think a good example of that is, and I know a lot of communities have been doing this, is the tap rooms. Previously they weren't allowed in Plymouth, and so we looked at our ordinance and we found a way to make them, find where they could fit into our community, whether, it's hours or alcohol sales or manufacturing, whatever they needed. We looked for ways to integrate that into our community. So now we're all set up. We're just waiting for somebody to come.
Well, and then it helps in your competition, because if you went back maybe 15, 20 years, there was almost like a hands-off between cities and businesses, right?
Yes, that's true. And there was still, people don't want other cities poaching their businesses, and we certainly don't want to do that, but we want, we're looking at job growth throughout the entire state of Minnesota, and if there's a company in Plymouth that just can't have their needs met, we would certainly assist them in going outside of Plymouth in any way that we could. We certainly would like to keep them here. We'll do anything we can to retain them. But we understand that, as things are changing, in our global economy, that things move fast and furiously. And so we want to make sure that we can be adaptive too.
And I think citizens appreciate that too, that you're willing to kind of be the leading edge and help improve the whole community, business and residential, right?
Right. Because I think, people, I hope our residents understand what it means to have a thriving business community like we do. We have over 53,000 jobs in our city, which is very high.
Yeah, it is.
And I think it really helps with property values. Our business sector makes up about 19% of property values in our community, but they pay 31% of taxes. So when we have this investment and this influx in our community, we can really continue to build out our infrastructure and provide parks and public safety services and really take care of our entire community, because our business sector wants the same things that our residential community wants as well.
So it's a good good fit for your community,
Yes.
and then you're moving everything forward.
Yes.
And then there was a campaign that was just started called Plymouth and Proud.
Yes.
And maybe you can touch on that.
Sure. Well, that's something that Jeanette came up with. And we really want to raise the profile of the businesses in our community and really foster community identity among them. And so that's part of this, where we're going out to visit businesses.
Oh, okay.
And if they want, we have a decal that they can put in their window and just kind of identifying that they're part of the Plymouth community. And we use that on social media too. If we go out and visit, we'll promote it that way. And you can check out the city's Twitter account. We were just there this week, and we posted a photo there with the owner. And so we really want to let the community know how much we appreciate our businesses.
You're moving to getting a public safety director. How would this change affect Plymouth, or where are you at now, and why will this be a move that you're making?
Sure. Well, when I first got on the city council, we did have a public safety director and then kind of a police and fire chief.
Okay.
We changed and kind of separated the departments, just had a fire chief and a police chief. Now we're bringing them back together under the public safety model. And we don't expect our residents to see any change whatsoever. A lot of it is administratively and working to make sure these two departments can collaborate and coexist together, and really, as our community's growing and building out, ways to take advantage of the synergy from each of the departments. And so it's something that, it's kind of been a work in progress. Our fire chief announced his retirement late last summer and retired at the end of 2015. And so we saw that as an opportunity then to make some changes and to really make sure that we're kind of staying ahead of the times and making sure that we have training in place and equipment, and really doing some collaboration between the two departments.
Well, and there is competition for police officers, and then there's also sometimes shortage on the fire department volunteers, so that will all lead to helping out those situations?
Yes, we hope so. And having the same management structure around both departments too, we think that we can really foster the growth there and make sure that we're meeting the needs of the community.
So a kind of a behind-the-scene things to make things run better.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
And so tell us about the new fire chief that you recently hired.
Sure. His name is Roger Kappa, and he comes to us. He's been with the Brooklyn Park and the St. Louis Park fire departments and has many years of experience there. We're excited to have him come over to Plymouth, and he's kind of really stepped in, and he's spending a lot of time meeting with firefighters and staff, trying to find out where we're at and what ways he can take the city. We're looking for new ideas and innovations in the fire industry, but making sure we're taking advantage of all the training opportunities available, and really making sure our staff has the right equipment that they need. So it's there's a lot of work for him to do. He's really excited about it, and we're grateful to have him in Plymouth.
And now, have you hired a public safety director, or are you in the process of it?
Actually, our police chief stepped in as public safety director. Mike Goldstein has been our police chief since 2004, and so we approached him as taking on this additional responsibility, and he really saw it as a challenge and a way for him to grow in his career. And so he really went out and learned more about not just fire service, but what our employees needed in Plymouth, and how they were managing, and what skill set they had, and how we could build on that and make sure that we had all the tools in place, because as Plymouth continues to grow, we're starting to see more of a need for services. So really, as far as budgeting and doing some collaboration, that was really a good skill set that he had, that he could bring in under the whole public safety umbrella. So he's really been spending a lot of time working within both departments, and just doing a lot of collaboration and working to kind of move our.
So will you hire another police chief?
Nope, he's going to serve both as police chief and public safety director. Yep, we didn't want to lose him as police chief, so that was kind of a deal that he would serve as both.
Well, and then have the ability for people to move ahead through the ranks of whatever they're involved in. It's important for retaining people, I think.
Absolutely, definitely. And I usually don't say this out in the public, but our police chief is very talented, and I want to make sure he's challenged and wants to stay in Plymouth and continue to grow, because I know there's always other opportunities out there. I'm sure he pays no attention to those, but we really want to make sure that we can challenge him and give him opportunities to grow and to build something and to build a new model. And really, I hear him praised constantly, and I know that people look to Plymouth to see what we're doing and how we're managing, especially when there was, leaner budget times. I know that oftentimes they were, well, how's Plymouth doing this?
The area of development, redevelopment, happens in all our cities.
Sure.
Now, Plymouth must be a mixture of redevelopment and development, right?
It is. It is.
So some of ours are one way, Maple Grove's the other way, but Plymouth is sort of halfway in between, right?
Right.
And you have some commercial redevelopment that's underway now.
Sure.
Maybe you can tell us about the projects.
Sure, we have a few bigger ones that I can talk about, and we don't have a lot of vacant commercial space. We do have some, but we're seeing a lot of kind of infill commercial development and also kind of redevelopment, tearing down existing buildings. But Plymouth Point Business Center is a new business that was built on some vacant land, kind of in an area that was pretty built up at 25th and Niagara. And that building is set to be occupied in the next month or so. There aren't any tenants identified, but it's a great warehouse and commercial space that's available under Opus.
And that's new, or?
Yep, that's new construction.
New construction that's underway. Any other commercial projects
we
that
have
are going?
Vicksburg Marketplace at the corner of 55 and Vicksburg. And that was, there was a building there that was demolished, and the new tenants there will be Fresh Time, Farmers Market Groceries, a Goodwill, and a Starbucks with a drive-through. And that completion is expected to be sometime in June of this year.
So that's underway.
Yep.
Yeah, now those kinds of projects take a long time to get moved along. So they probably started 2-3 years ago?
Actually, not that long ago. The Vicksburg Marketplace, less than a year ago. But there are some other projects like the Waterford Innovation Center at 169 and 55. That is something that there's a business furniture supply store that is called Interium that is going to be moving in there. So, but we also have kind of the big buzz in the community is Dunkin' Donuts is coming to Plymouth, the first one in the state of Minnesota in some time. And so that'll be at Bass Lake Road and Nathan Lane, and people are very excited about that. I've go to a lot of ribbon cuttings and grand openings, and all of a sudden I have a lot of friends that want to come along with me. So is expected to open later this year.
And are there any other new businesses that have come in recently, or that you think are coming in shortly?
Those are kind of the newer construction ones, but we have had, in 2015, we did have many businesses come. I think TCF is kind of the one that everybody has talked about, bringing over 1,500 jobs to Plymouth. That was really exciting to see them move their headquarters to Plymouth. And we had Polaris do some... bring some jobs to Plymouth. Smith's Medical is bringing over 500 med tech jobs to Plymouth. In fact, I'm going to be out visiting them and then very soon. And Proto Labs moved 350 jobs here in 2014. So there's also been some smaller companies that have moved in as well. So we've really had the opportunity to watch our business community grow, and now with our community development manager, I'm really excited to see what we can, how we can add to that.
And then are there still open areas ready for commercial development?
There's not so many.
That's what I was wondering.
We're pretty built out. I mean, there are some, we're starting to see some opportunities where older buildings will be demolished and permits come in. I think the one people talk about all the time is the Four Seasons Mall, which is still standing. But I know that there's some activity there. It's been Walmart has put it up for sale, and so hopefully we'll see something happening there. I would expect that with the state that building's in, that would be something that would be demolished and something new built there.
Then we'll switch to the area of residential redevelopment. Now you've got a new area, Trillium Woods?
Yes.
Tell us about it and what's going to be in there. But maybe we should start off, where exactly is it at for people that aren't familiar with it?
It's at 5855 Cheshire Parkway. And it's a 62 and older senior community. And they have garden homes and apartment homes. They have skilled nursing care. They have memory care. They have really, they wanted to provide a continuum of care option for people. There's 209 residences there, and there are over 14 different floor plans and different styles and types of housing.
Lots of choices.
I had the opportunity to attend their grand opening. It's a great facility. Sometime I would love to retire there between the amenities they have and the surroundings, and just the food service there, and the cocktail lounge, and the library, and the recreation opportunities that they have there. It's a beautiful facility. Very pleased to have it in Plymouth.
And then that just opened up when?
This past fall.
Okay, so I knew it was fairly recent, but I didn't know when. And then there's a Plymouth City Flats project?
Yep, that is at the corner of 55 and 169, and that will be an apartment building. It'll be 5 stories with 2 levels of parking underneath, and there'll be 141 market rate apartments and 16 affordable apartment units there.
So you'll grow some affordable in your city.
Yep, that's right.
That comes up off and on in the newspaper, right?
It does.
Not enough affordable housing for people.
And we work to integrate it into our new developments. Financing is always a challenge, but when there are opportunities available, especially when you can build it along market rate, I think the economics make more sense sometimes, and so we saw this as a really good opportunity to make that work here.
Yeah, and one of the criticisms from past work in affordable housing is that you don't want to put too much of it all together.
Sure.
It doesn't work as well as doing the process that you're doing.
Right, yeah.
And maybe you could talk just a little bit about life cycle housing in Plymouth?
Sure. Well, we wanted to make sure that we have a product for everybody, whether it's somebody just getting out of college, moving to Plymouth, whether you're getting married, starting a family, new job, and as your kids get older, and then as they leave and you want to downsize and move into something smaller, or even something with a component of care, that whole life cycle is able to be provided in Plymouth. And we've seen a lot of senior housing being constructed lately, which is really the trend, but we're starting to see people wanting to move out of their homes but still stay in the community because they raised their family here, or their family's here, or they're just familiar with the community and have a lot of friends here. And so we've really seen, the Trillium Woods, and we have the Waters, and we have Plymouth operates 2 senior facilities ourselves. And we're continuing to see that interest in the senior market grow. So I think that's really the need that is being met now, because we do have a lot of housing stock at various price ranges. So it was more in apartment buildings as well for people starting out, but it was just more of, especially when you have that care component that's necessary, is providing that fit, and we've seen a lot of new development in that area.
I was reading an article in the Star Tribune that was talking about suburbs embracing tax increment financing, and I know there's a whole range of how it's used in our northwest suburbs. So I'm having everybody that comes on the show over a period of time talk about it with me, and then we'll kind of do a show that compiles all the people's things. So because I think people hear the term, but they're not really sure what it means. So tax increment financing, as far as I've been able to gather, started out to deal with blighted areas of a city that needed new jobs. Now, it has done some changes over time. What can you tell people about tax increment financing to kind of lay the scene where it's at now and where it's come from?
Well, occasionally the legislature will kind of fine-tune tax increment financing and how it works. But we, in Plymouth, and they typically are narrowing the uses for this, but in Plymouth we rarely use tax increment financing, and so we really haven't seen any great impacts in our community of how it's been used. We don't have any pending applications currently for its use. We have used it in the past, and we really use it for the blighted properties or to provide an opportunity that neither the city on its own or the developer on its own could accomplish, but working together we can do. And we want to make sure that there is a public purpose that is met in order to use it. So those might be site-related costs, infrastructure costs, cleanup of contaminated soils, land acquisition, things like that. And so we really in Plymouth make sure we're carefully weighing all of those things when we see a project come forward. And frankly, we just don't see that use requested often.
And part of it is whether it's blighted or fits under the legislative guidelines, is to help where that development might not happen.
Right.
Where you need a little competitive edge. And I probably more so in some of our older cities.
Yes, yep, that's true. Yeah, it's kind of the but-for test.
Right.
If not for tax increment financing, would the project be able to happen? So Plymouth currently has 5 city district and 3 HRA districts in place, and they've been very successful, but we really just, we'll make sure if we get any requests to use that, we always carefully consider it, but we just don't have a lot of requests coming at us right now. And so it hasn't really had a big impact on any development happening in Plymouth.
And so if you've got developers that want to come to your city, or you've got businesses that want to come to your city, then you don't need to dangle a carrot, right?
That's right, that's right.
They're already coming, so you don't have to do a lot with it. And then to describe for people, what is that increment and how do you get it?
Well,
because that's the key word in there, right?
Sure. Well, it's so unique to each development proposal, and it's really, I think maybe an example was in Plymouth was the Brown's Farmers Market was a blighted property and had some contaminated soils. And we just continually saw that nobody could really come in. The cleanup costs were too expensive, and they really needed some sort of assistance. And so to use TIF, tax increment financing, in that situation really made it work and made the project be able to go forward. Otherwise, with the blight and the poor soils and contamination there, without some assistance from that tax increment financing, that property would probably still be sitting vacant.
Right, and basically, and there might be more uses because my knowledge isn't that big, but basically there's X amount of taxes coming in now.
Yes.
You put in something that's more valuable, so you've got this extra taxes coming in, so to speak, and that can be used to pay off bonds.
Yes, that's right. Yep.
But now one of the areas that, and this wouldn't be true then for Plymouth, but one of the areas for cities is to be careful of how much you bring in, because if you have too many tax increment financing districts, you might be taking too much away from your general fund.
That's right. And we really have not seen that at all in Plymouth. And I know that many other communities around it, we have very low usage of it. We look and see what other communities are doing, and we just haven't even gotten anywhere near seeing it as an issue or having any sort of effect on our tax revenue coming in.
And one of the sort of minuses is that that block of money that's being used won't go to counties and school districts.
That's right. They won't have that either. So we make sure we very carefully weigh what we're doing and consider it, because we do recognize that it has implications throughout the entire city.
Well, I want to thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll encourage people to watch next week for part 2 on Plymouth's issues. We're happy to have Mayor Slavik with us so that we can learn more about her city and her issues, and we hope if any of them kind of resonated with you that you follow up on it. We're glad that you've been with us, and we'll look for you next week.